up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of The Rich Life. I am your host, BRich. Here on The Rich Life podcast, I want you to have a rich mind, rich body, and a rich spirit. Before we dive in today, I want us to take a couple deep breaths as we get ready to explore this topic. Are you ready? Close your eyes. Well, no, if you're driving or if you're listening to this, don't close your eyes because I don't want you to run into nothing, okay? So don't do that. But just we're gonna do 3 deep breaths. As we do these deep breaths, I want us to think about 3 things that has troubled us this week or has just been bothering you today or whatever it is. Just get 3 things in mind. Each time we exhale, we're going to think about that one of those things and we're going to exhale that thing, okay? So I'm going to do 3 deep breaths. You're going to hold it for 5 seconds and then we're going to release it. Ready? Get those things in mind. All right, here we go. Release it. Inhale. Release it. One last one. Inhale. And release it. Okay, I hope you feel much lighter because today what we're going to talk about is exercising your life. Hopefully you are listening to this podcast because you want to have a better life. And anytime you want to get better at something, what do? We practice. So think about an athlete. Athletes put in countless amount of time and hours into perfecting their craft. Doctors, lots of time here they have practices because they have to keep learning and finding out why people are experiencing certain things or having to keep up with technology and medical advances. So they have to practice their craft or medicine. They practice medicine. Think about speakers in order to speak more eloquently and be able to move people. They practice their speaking. They may go to different seminars or they may take some time writing and perfecting a speech or a lecture that they already put out. Think about all the people that are in the arts, whether it's cooking, you practice. The top chefs in the world, they practice what they're doing. The top artists in the world, the painters and singers, musicians, in order to fine tune their skills, they're always practicing and trying to get better at whatever they're doing. So why not do that in our own lives? Why do we just leave practicing to those people, the professionals, quote unquote? Why don't we practice more where we want to be, or practice getting to where we want to be, or practice habits that will be more beneficial in our lives? Why don't we do that? I don't know. I don't have the answer. I was hoping you would know, but we're gonna just kind of dive into that a little bit on today. So first thing to exercising your life is practice mindfulness. So a lot of times we just kind of, I'm going to speak for myself. A lot of the times I catch myself just going through the motions, just being at a place because I said I was going to be there, or doing something because that's what I've always done, or just simple things like that, rather than actually engaging or being mindful about what I'm doing or why I'm doing what I'm doing or what do I want to get out of what I'm doing. A lot of times I find myself just being there. So in order to be more mindful, you have to call it to your attention. You have to get that thing in your head and focus on it. So for instance, if I go sit at the park, and I know I want to go sit at the park. Yes, it's nice being out there and everything, but How can I practice mindfulness when I'm there? I can listen to the birds chirping. I can listen to the leaves in the trees rustling. I can listen to the water. I can hear the water moving. I can listen to the different chatter from the people around me, animals, dogs barking, the squirrels communicating with each other, the insects communicate with each other. Simply focusing on my mind on those things are ways that I can be more mindful. Being intentional in our day. A lot of us, like I just said, we just go through the motions. Rather than going through the motion, be intentional, be mindful, know what you're doing, know what you want to get out of what you are doing, rather than just sitting there and just letting time pass, or whatever the case is. Being intentional, and like being intentional in your relationships, being intentional on your job, being intentional with the way that you communicate with people, rather than just having transactions. Make sure you are being intentional. Make sure you're depositing something rather than just being transactional. Um, Another way you could practice mindfulness is your self-talk. Watch how you're talking to yourself. Notice how you're talking to yourself. What are you saying to yourself? And are you believing these things that you are saying to yourself? If you want to have a better life, you have to have a better relationship with yourself. If you're talking to yourself any kind of way, and just being negative when you mess up, oh, you're so stupid, how could you do that? Or what was I thinking? That was the dumbest decision I've ever made. Just like stuff like that, like your body resonates with that stuff. So you don't want to have those negative thoughts or negative comments about yourself to yourself. So practice positively talking to yourself. Practice being aware and mindful of what you are saying and the impact that makes on you when you tell yourself those things. If you tell yourself you're stupid, do you feel better after you say that? No, you feel stupid. So don't tell your things stuff like that rather. The next practice for mindfulness is imagery. So once again, if you're wanting a better life, if you want to manifest your goals and live the life that you've always imagined for yourself, start practicing imagery. Our minds are like such a interesting thing. Our minds do not know the difference between us imagining something and us actually living in something. It doesn't really differentiate those things. So when you practice imagery, you're putting your mind where you want to be, and your mind wants to make that come true. So if I want to, for instance, I did this the other day. So I ultimately, not ultimately, but in the next couple years, I want to buy a Jeep. So I was listening to this other podcast, and the guest and the host were talking about buying cars as well. And the guest told the speaker, the host, that they pulled up a picture, they imagined them in that car. They imagined them riding around in the city or pulling up to the guest home in that new car they were going to buy. So it immediately triggered me, okay, I want a Jeep. So I'm going to imagine myself behind the wheel of that Jeep. I'm going to imagine myself riding around the city, going do tasks, pulling in my Jeep somewhere, pulling my Jeep into the parking lot, getting out the car, how it's gonna feel getting out the Jeep. When I'm walking up to that Jeep, how is that gonna make me feel? So imagining those things and letting that become real for you so that you can ultimately manifest it. Once it's in your mind wants stuff that that you think about or that you feel. Your mind wants to make that come true. So if you keep practicing imagery, if you imagine yourself married, if you imagine yourself a skinnier or more fit, I'm not gonna say skinnier, I don't like that, run that back. If you imagine yourself a more fit person. Imagine yourself being more fit. Imagine the confidence and the love that you feel for yourself when you're imagining that. Imagine like just how your clothes are going to feel on you. Imagine the type of foods that you're eating. Imagine how much water you're drinking a day. Think about all of those things as if you're already there. And like I said, practicing these things. So when you start doing this, it's not going to always be easy. It's a practice. LeBron James, I'm pretty sure when he started, he wasn't as efficient of a player as he is now. So what did he do? He practiced. He put in countless amounts of hours to become the professional that he is now. So your first time doing imagery, you may not see the picture as clear as you would like to, but that doesn't mean you stop trying to imagine that thing. You keep going, you keep imagining that thing until it's picture perfect clear. And then in addition to you imagining, how about you get some physical pictures? Google what that dream body looks like. Google that dream car of yours. Google that the career that you want. What does that person wear? Print out that picture and put your face on that thing. So like for me, having a Jeep, print out the Jeep that I want, put my picture in that driver's seat. So in addition to mental imagery, get some physical imagery as well, so that we can see that and manifest that. So like I said, you got to constantly do it. The first time you do imagery or the first time that you try to talk to yourself nicer, it's not going to always work. You're going to catch yourself still wanting to talk negatively to yourself. You're going to still find yourself just existing and not showing up full out. But the thing is, you just have to be intentional. You have to actually be dedicated to making that thing happen, and keep practicing it until you see it through. Even when you do see it through, keep on practicing. This is a lifelong thing. This is not something we grasp and then we're just able to put it down and become second. But sometimes it can become second nature. But a lot of times we have to keep on reinforcing it. Keep on putting it in our minds. Keep putting it in our heads what we're doing. So I kind of alluded to it already, but the next thing you can practice is meditation. So like I just said, the first time you meditate, your mind is still gonna want to wander. You're still gonna not be focused on your breaths or whatever it is that you're meditating on. You may not always find yourself sticking to that thing, but the more you practice it, the more you're going to learn how to draw your attention back in like a seamless way rather than like abrupt, and you just you're gonna, the more you do it, the more seamless it'll become, the easier it'll become. So practice meditation. The next thing to have a better life, you have to practice movement. Practice movement. Our bodies physics, a body in motion stays in motion. So if we want to have more productive days, if we want to be more active and healthier, then we have to practice moving, whether it's through exercise, or whether it's through dance, on social media, TikTok, all of that stuff. There is always some new challenge or some new dance. Learn one of those dances. Get your body active. Not saying that you have to post yourself doing it or anything, but get your body moving. Learn that dance and see how much better you feel when you get moving, and see how much you're able to accomplish after you've created that movement slash momentum in your day, or just in that particular moment. So get your body movement. Get your body movement. Get your body moving. When you're moving, you feel good. So to have a better life, we want to feel good. If we just feel worn down and tired, we're not going to want to invest that time into ourselves. So make yourself feel good. Work yourself up to movement so that you can feel good. Another way for us to get moving is if we're just walking around, we're jogging, if we're swimming, if we're biking, if we're around the house, cleaning up around the house, if we're cooking, just being intentional about moving our bodies and not being sedentary and still all the time. Don't get me wrong, stillness and quiet and calm is nice at certain times. But when you want to really get better and accomplish more in your day, movement is the key. So practice moving throughout your day, and your brain needs that activity. So practice movement throughout the day. The next thing to better our lives is to practice giving. If you are a believer, you know that it's better to be to give than to receive. When you give, well, for me at least, when I give, it makes me feel good because I was able to help somebody out in a way, and you just never know what people are experiencing. Sometimes, we're so caught up in what's happening in our day, and like we can just totally dismiss people and everything. Will where if we had only just given them a piece of our time, giving them a small piece of our day, we don't know what kind of impact that could have had on their lives. So be a giver, whether it's mentoring someone, volunteering at a shelter, or with older citizens, or whether it's younger kids, whether it's giving money, if you're donating money to someone, giving a tip to a waiter or a waitress. You never know, if they needed that extra whatever X amount of dollars to pay their rent or whatever. Whether it's seeing a homeless person and giving them the shoes off your feet, or providing them with a meal, buying them a meal, whatever it is, be a giver. This one is probably hard for a lot of us, but like when we're driving, instead of just trying to get to where we're going, like let that person go over in front of you. You see they have their blanket on, let that person go ahead and get over. Or if you're in the grocery store, let someone go ahead of you. Just practice giving in those simple types of ways. You don't have to give $1 million to be a giver. You can give something as small as a compliment. If you give a compliment, that can change that could change someone's whole day. So be a giver. And when you do those things come back to you. And sometimes you're rewarded more for those small sacrifices. So to have a better life, be a giver. Another way to another practice you can have in your life is healthier habits. I hit on this one a lot because I'm just so passionate about this one. Make sure that you are practicing eating better, incorporating a variety of different foods into your diet. Practice hydrating yourself more. Practice going to bed a little bit earlier so that you can be more productive. Practice self-care, whether it's just sitting in the quiet, or reading a book, or taking yourself on a small vacation, or a staycation, or a vacation, or any of them cations. Make sure you have some self-care, getting a massage, getting a facial, getting therapy, having therapy. That's a great form of self-care. Cooking, having you a glass of wine, going out and listening to some poetry. Make sure you are feeding your inner person as well. Make sure you're taking care of your inner person so that you can show up in the world. If you're constantly just pouring out of your cup and filling up other people's, you're going to be empty. So make sure you have self-care to keep on filling your own cup back up so that you can reach where you want to go. The last practice that you want to incorporate into your life to have a better life or to exercise your life is forgiveness and practicing grace. A lot of times we hold on to hurt that people have done to us. We constantly are replaying traumas and stuff like that have happened to us. And a lot of times that stuff weighs us down. It prevents us from getting to where we want to go. So practice forgiving more, even if somebody did you something on accident, or whether they did it on purpose, whatever it is. Practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is not always for them. Forgiveness is for you most times, so you won't have to keep carrying that stuff on your conscience, on your mind, on your heart. Make sure that you are forgiving people and forgive often. If you're a believer, again, the Bible speaks about forgiving our neighbors and forgiving people who have done us wrong. When we forgive, we're able to have more love. We're able to have more love in our heart. Then we're able to give more. If we can forgive, we can give more. So that goes back to the other practice that I just said. And then we want to have grace. So not only forgive them, but have grace, and particularly have grace for yourself, because sometimes we mess up. Sometimes we don't make the right decisions, but we have to allow ourselves to practice grace. We deserve grace. And then going back to the forgiveness piece, a lot of times we do people wrong and we want them to forgive us for stuff that we've done wrong. So we have to be willing to give that same forgiveness and grace that we want to receive. So don't be selfish with the grace and forgiveness, okay? All of these things that I've mentioned help us to exercise our life and help us to have a better life. Remember, all of these are practices. So it's something that we need to constantly be doing. It's something that we have to be mindful about doing. We aren't born knowing these things, or we aren't born being the perfect people, or the knowing everything, so, or having all that we need, in a sense. So yes, we have to practice these things over days, over months, over years, to really grasp them and to really make them a part of our lives. So practice. Exercise your life, okay? Don't let your life just simply go by, pass you by. Exercise it in order to get where you want to do. Play a role in where you want to go. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that really helped. I hope that was beneficial. I hope that you are able to use and apply these things to your life. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share this with someone. Make sure you send it. Make sure you comment on it. Let me know what really stuck out to you, and what are some practices that you are going to start doing daily. Let me know. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this. Excuse me. If you would like to follow me, make sure you click the link under this video if you're watching this on YouTube. If you are listening to this podcast via Spotify or whatever platform you use, you can click the link in the show notes. So click the link there. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on YouTube. You can follow me on Facebook. You can schedule a consultation with me if you want to use those tools. So thank you for listening to me yet again. Thank you for your constant support. I love it. Thank you so much. Like I like to leave you every week, go out there and be rich.